This particular video is unlike any of my others. It's not philosophical or theological or anything like that. Maybe it's therapeutic for me, but as the title says, it's about the impact of breast cancer. My grandmother died of breast cancer about 3.5 months ago on April 12th this year. What I saw was indescribable. A friend of mine's wife died of breast cancer, and he told me when all this was going on, and the truth is, he was the only one who knew what I was going through and what I was seeing and how difficult it was. Because I went online and read what was coming. I took care of her. And up until 3 days before she died, when she went into hospice, 3 or 4 days, I took care of her. And I read what was coming. My friend described what was coming. And that didn't help. Because when it finally did come, I'm still dealing with it today. Painkillers didn't work. Took morphine and gave her just about everything I think they had. But they didn't help. She would sit in her chair, which is almost opposite of where I'm sitting right now, and scream or cry. Sometimes she'd lay down on the couch and do nothing but she wouldn't sleep. She couldn't sleep. She was in too much pain. And just cry and scream. Couch is over that direction. All night. Good bit of the day. Every now and then, she'd get a day where there'd be a reprieve. Maybe the painkillers actually were working for a day. I don't know. But she'd get a reprieve. Maybe it was God. Skin was eaten off of 1/3 of her body. I saw the scans recently. I just found them a little bit ago. By accident, they hid them from me. Or she did. And it's 10 months before she died, and it's just all over her, everywhere. But she had a skin, starting, I think, from around here, just eaten up all, 1/3 of her body, but the skin had been eaten away. She had these sores on her, all over. They erupted all over her body, too, primarily in the back and chest area, but they were going up, too. Before she died, she had them around her neck. But I don't know how to describe them other than when I was in high school, my friend Andy spilled, I think it was battery acid on him, and it dug into the skin. The acid did, and ate away the skin, and then creating this big sore. I don't know how to describe it. It was horrible looking. But she had those all over her body. It looked like somebody had poured acid on her, and it ate into the body. And she had them all over. And as I said, nothing worked. Her appetite changed. She loved to eat. She wouldn't weigh nothing. She could eat whatever she wanted, and she still remained a small, little, thin thing. That was my grandmother. But her appetites changed. She was someone who was the most active human being I've ever met, getting up at 5, 6 in the morning, going to bed at 10, 11 at night. And in that entire time, she never stopped working. She was always busy. That last year, she didn't want to go outside. She didn't want to do anything. She was in too much pain. That's the devastation of breast cancer. She's finally gone on, I do believe, in heaven, and she was a genuine Christian. And I believe her suffering's done now, but mine's not. The impact that I remember seeing, that I saw, the suffering that I saw her go through lingers. Still see things. I don't know how to describe them other than maybe 2 to 3 second YouTube clips. Just like little clips of all that she had suffered and done. One of those was the final day when hospice came and the ambulance came to take her out of here. She knew she wasn't coming back. It was a terrible scene. And I'll never forget it. I'll never forget that first night in hospice. And all she did was scream because she was in so much pain. In those little clips, I see. The screaming, I hear. I don't know, sometimes when a loud noise goes off, maybe a cannon, maybe a car backfires, and you kind of flinch like this. That's what I do. Sometimes I'll flinch, and sometimes I see things, and I just kind of go like this. Difficult. The suffering, I can't describe what I saw. It's a horrible disease. And I hope that, I don't even know the point of this video other than just, I need to get it out. And maybe somehow, some way, some good can come of it. Maybe you give your time or your money to a breast cancer organization. I'm not affiliated with one. I don't know. Maybe you could look one up. I'm sure there's plenty of genuinely good organizations you could give your money to fight breast cancer. I think she had lobular. I'm not positive. But, you know, sometimes I wonder, am I the only one? You know, the family members and friends that are left behind after the person who had it's gone. And they can't forget what they saw. They can't forget that they just couldn't do anything to help. Their loved one's suffering and they're just helpless. You want to protect them and you can't do anything but watch. I said I just needed to get this out. And I hope that some good can come of this. I said maybe it inspires you to give of your time or your money. Maybe you can spend some time with someone who's got it. And your company encourages them in some way. Gives them reprieve or some relief of their suffering just for a moment. Maybe you can think of some unique way to fight this disease. Take care. I may do a few more just because maybe it's, if nothing else, it's therapeutic. But the impact of those left behind, it's something to think about. Too often you think about the person who has it. You don't think about the trauma of the one who saw it. They still deal with it long after the loved one's passed. Take care. Bye.